Thank you, Mr. Secretary, for being here today. When I comb through the president's budget that adds $17 trillion to the deficit over the next 10 years, I see much of the failed policies that have caused record inflation over the last 2 years, and it's hurting Kansas families. In fact, a surgery center in Wichita told me that this year more patients are delaying surgery because they simply do have to make a choice between having a procedure or putting food on the table. Secretary Becerra, over the last 2 years, I've heard from numerous doctors in my district and the state that have indicated that participation in Medicare is becoming untenable due to the instability of reimbursement year after year. This means patient access is in jeopardy across the country, including my home state of Kansas, and particularly in rural areas. I've got a couple questions that maybe even be yes or no, but do you recognize the instability of the physician fee schedule over the past 2 years as disproportionately appropriated patients, particularly rural ones, and particularly in specialty care?
Congressman, I think we all, and I remember being a member of Congress as well, the challenge that we have in trying to make sure that we're adequately reimbursing providers has always been there. It's something that we always have to address, and you have to address.
And will you help work with us and commit to helping evaluate the impact on rural access in order to, before you make future reimbursement changes?
Absolutely.
I also am concerned a little bit, particularly about changes made under the REMs for mifepristone. Under your direction, the REMs have been changed so that a woman no longer needs to see her physician in person in order to receive this harmful drug. But 1 in 5 women who take this drug need medical intervention following its use. That's 1 in 5. Your own FDA said that women shouldn't take it if they have an ectopic pregnancy. And FDA explains that if an ectopic pregnancy is not identified and removed, it can rupture and cause abdominal bleeding that can kill the pregnant woman. Ectopic pregnancies can only be ruled out by a healthcare provider using blood tests and an ultrasound. And the FDA has further warnings for women if they have problems with their adrenal glands or if they're taking certain medications. This critical information is given by healthcare providers with access to their medical history. Do you think the new REMS for this drug put women in danger?
Congressman, FDA puts out those REMS after reviewing all the science and the evidence that's out there. Mifepristone has been available for more than 20 years. It's been proven to be, as FDA has to show, it to be a safe and effective drug, and now they're moving forward based on several years of evidence, and especially during COVID, where they found that it could be prescribed safely and effectively without having to have the in-person visit by the patient in order to get access to the drug.
I'm just concerned that 1 in 5 need additional care afterwards. That has no bearing on that, but it's caused by that, and as well as the ectopic pregnancies. How do you plan to help make sure that they're checked for an ectopic pregnancy before this drug's dispensed to them?
Yeah, and I would need to check those numbers. I've not heard those numbers that you've recited. And I know from, I hear from my wife, who's a high-risk OBGYN, all the time about this. This is a drug that has proven itself over the course of time. You don't just get access to it because you want it. You still have to get it prescribed. And so your your physician, your medical provider would still have to prescribe it. And so those kinds of areas where you need to have safeguards are still in place. It's just that the in-person requirement that a woman go to a particular spot to get that prescription drug would be removed.
Mr. Chairman, I yield back.